Under the blinding studio lights, the air was thick with tension. Robert De Niro, Hollywood legend and cultural icon, leaned forward in his chair during a live televised panel, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Senator Kennedy. He said with that unmistakable New York edge, "You talk a lot about the American people, but you come across as uneducated. Do you even understand what you're saying half the time?" The audience gasped. Cameras zoomed in on Kennedy, waiting to see if he would stumble, freeze, or retaliate with anger. But John Kennedy didn't flinch. He sat back, eyes calm, hands folded, wearing the faintest of smiles. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't dismissal. It was something deeper, and awareness that this moment wasn't about winning an argument. It was about telling a truth. He let the silence hang for a beat before speaking. Mr. De Niro, Kennedy began in his southern drawl. "When you say I sound uneducated, you might be right in a sense. I wasn't raised in marble halls. I didn't go to fancy schools in Europe or have tutors teaching me languages before I hit 10. My education didn't come from ivy-covered buildings. It came from a much smaller place." The audience leaned in. Even De Niro's sharp expression softened with curiosity. Kennedy continued, "I grew up in a town where most folks worked with their hands. My daddy wasn't a wealthy man, but he taught me something more valuable than any textbook ever could. He taught me the worth of honesty, the dignity of hard work, and the importance of keeping your word. My mama, she worked double shifts just to keep food on the table. But she always made time to remind us that we were blessed to live in a country where you could climb from nothing and still matter. Those lessons don't come with a diploma. They come from life." He paused, his voice carrying more emotion now, almost cracking, but steady enough to hold the room. "Let me tell you a story. When I was about 12 years old, I got into a fight at school. A boy called me poor trash. I came home with a black eye, angry and humiliated. My father didn't scold me for fighting. He just sat me down on our porch and said, 'Son, people will call you names your whole life. Some will say you're dumb. Some will say you don't belong. But here's the thing, they can take away your money. They can take away your title, but they can never take away your integrity. That's the kind of education you carry with you forever.'" The room was silent now. De Niro, usually quick with words, sat back in his chair, staring at Kennedy as if seeing him differently for the first time. Kennedy leaned forward, his tone soft but powerful. "So, maybe I don't sound like a professor from Harvard. Maybe my words are plain, but they come from a place that's real, from lessons learned in the fields, in church pews, and at the dinner tables of working families who keep this country running. If that makes me uneducated in your eyes, then I'll gladly wear that badge, because I'd rather speak in a way my people understand than pretend to be something I'm not." The audience erupted into applause, not the polite kind, but a roaring wave that shook the room. Some stood, clapping, cheering, moved not just by his words, but by the raw authenticity behind them. Kennedy didn't raise his voice, didn't throw an insult back. He told a story that reminded everyone of something they had almost forgotten: that true education isn't always written on paper. It's written on the heart. De Niro finally spoke again, but his tone had changed. Gone was the sharpness, replaced by a quiet respect. "Senator," he said slowly, nodding, "I didn't expect that answer. You've given me something to think about." Kennedy smiled gently. "That's all I ask of anyone. Don't just think about me. Think about the millions of people who don't wear fancy suits or walk red carpets, but who still deserve a voice in this country. They're not uneducated. They're America." As the panel wrapped up, that moment lingered in the minds of everyone watching. Social media exploded with clips of Kennedy's words. Some said it was the first time they had ever felt a politician speak directly to their soul. Others admitted that while they didn't always agree with his politics, they couldn't deny The truth of his story, and when Kennedy walked off stage that night. He wasn't just a senator anymore. He was a storyteller. A reminder of what it meant to bridge the gap between Hollywood, lights, and everyday struggles. The lesson was clear and enduring. Titles, wealth, and degrees can impress, but it's the stories born of hardship, honesty, and humility that truly educate and inspire.